Hi, welcome to the MotherLoad. I'm Ann Brown.
And I'm Amy Stober, and today we're going to do a MotherLoad morsel on curiosity in children.
You know, in my parenting classes, I often do an exercise with the parents where I have them list qualities they would hope to see in their kids when their kids are adults. And then we kind of go around and look at that and we talk about what does that quality look like in a child. Inevitably, a lot of people write down curiosity. They hope that as adults, their children, their adult children will still be curious people.
Right. Once they're adults, though, not now.
Right, yeah.
Right? They don't want them to be curious.
That's right.
When they're younger.
Which is the point, that a lot of these qualities we want to foster in an adult, what does that look like in a 3-year-old? It's a pain in the neck in a 3-year-old. So curiosity.
I want to say something that Ann Brown said to me when I was a mom in her class, which I still hold on to, which is the qualities that we want in our children are the hardest to parent when they're younger. And this is such a great example of that. And I've held that true to my heart, really, for a long time. So, yeah.
I don't remember saying that. But
it was fabulous.
Now I'm going to say it every day in my classes.
So how do we nurture curiosity in children?
Well, I think let's begin by saying, what does curiosity look like in a 3-year-old?
Oh,
and what Amy and what you and I were just talking about is curiosity can look like you get to some place you need to go, either it's preschool for the kid or the grocery store, and the time it takes your child to leave the door of the car to get to the door of the building can be 45 minutes because all of a sudden your child is curious in absolutely everything. And every little bug, every little anything they're looking at, that's a really hard time as a parent to think, how do I foster curiosity in this child? Because what you really want to say is, hurry up,
get inside the building, we've got to go.
And I think that that's a good point when you say it's the hardest to parent is, how do you help that child? Because maybe what they're curious about is, what is the botany?
Right.
I mean, maybe this is going to be something that is going to change their lives.
Or maybe they just want to shove the rock up their nose.
So I think that when we begin with, it is frustrating to foster curiosity in a child.
Yes.
I'll tell you what else curiosity looks like. Why? Why?
How come?
Why?
How come?
Why?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, I think that why thing is 95%. They're just bugging us.
Right. I had a client who said every time they crossed over from Oregon to Washington, their kid would say, "Are we in Oregon or Washington? Washington or Oregon? Oregon or Washington?" And they were really genuinely curious about, you know, like you said, maybe at some point they're going to be like a topographer or a cartographer, and they're really curious about, you know, geography. But in the moment, you just want to poke your eyeballs out.
I know. And I think that one of the things that we can remember is answer what the child is really asking once. And then we have a right to say,
hold on.
Let's come back to that after lunch or when you finished high school. You know, let's go back and talk about that.
But the big thing is we want curiosity, right? It's lifelong. It can be in everything that our kids are doing. As annoying as it is when they're younger, we really want this for them as they get older, right?
It brings up another point when I think about curiosity also is sometimes parents will come up to us and say, you know, I've noticed that my kid is really interested in the guitar or in theater, I mean, or in anything. So I sign them up.
For a class.
I sign them up for a class.
Yes.
And, you know, that's when we want to say to these parents, please let curiosity be exposure. Let curiosity have a kid just bang on the piano and make up their songs. Because if you take that and prematurely put it into classes, number one,
what a great way to ruin passion.
Right, that's just twisted.
Yes.
And it can take curiosity away too, that sometimes when kids are banging on a piano or painting without really, like, you know, you say, but are you trying to make a horse? And they're not. What's going on in their mind is what's going to later turn out to be something really important.
Right. Or like if our kid says they want to act someday, instead of signing them up for acting classes, do we go to the theater with them? Do we see plays? Do we do puppet shows at home? Things that inspire natural curiosity.
You know, when my kids were little, we lived in LA and we used to buy the cheapest tickets for the Hollywood Bowl, like way up in the nosebleed section. And we would take the kids to the concerts, the classical music concerts, and bring dinner. And sometimes we stayed for like 5 minutes, like until they finished eating dinner, just so they would hear music, they would hear it. And then we would leave because we wanted them to know that they were curious about it. What was that music? And then we would hum it on the way home if they wanted to, or we would just forget about it. But we didn't have to sign them up for a symphony class, and we didn't have to make them sit through, 18 concerts. It was just exposure is what piques curiosity.
And this ties to what I hear in my office every day. Once we sign a kid up for a class, or they're going to be taught it in a certain way in 6 weeks,
Right.
what happens is then the focus becomes on perfecting it and the outcome related to it versus the process, which is exactly what curiosity is, right? It's the process.
I would even amend that, and this could be another morsel, which is not only not to just perfect it, but why do we have to improve?
Right.
I mean, why can't we just do it because we like doing it and never get better? Practice makes perfect. Well, sometimes practice is just because you love something. Anyway.
Great.
Thank you for joining us. This has been a MotherLoad morsel. And be sure to like us on Facebook. You can find us on Facebook. The most important thing to remember, however, is don't parent like my co-host.